my lovely friends over at Deep Light very kindly sent me a set of their new launch of paints for autumn season. Presenting to you Soul of the Oak, and I'm going to be unboxing and swatching these with you, and we can paint something together after we've swatched out these beautiful new colours. So let's just take a look to see what we've got inside. This is a set of 6 watercolour paints. Now, these paints are handmade with love and care, and we're going to be swatching them out together to see how beautiful these colours turn out. Some of these colours are granulating, and I'm so excited to be having a look at them with you. So let's just zoom in a little bit and see what we've got here. And we're going to be painting something together with these. I need to give you the heads up and say that we do have a discount code, Deep Ray, which if you are thinking of treating yourself to some beautiful new pigments, then do use that discount code to get 10% off these, and indeed all of the paints from Deep Light. They come in a little tin like this, a set of 6 watercolour paints, and you'll always get a little note saying, "Wake me up with a drop of water." Because these paints are handmade and a few of them are granulating, by activating those paints with water, first of all, we can get them activated. So we have yellow lichen or lichen. Then we have haze blue, acorn rust, purple reed, soul of the oak, and oak moss. Now these are going to be beautiful autumnal colours. So we need to take the outer layer off. Inside you will be met with a black tissue paper wrapped pan. You need to take off the tissue paper, and inside you'll be met with another layer of essentially some sort of greaseproof paper to stop it from sticking to the pan. Okay, so I'm going to unwrap all of these off camera. Here we have all the pans unwrapped and put it snugly into the little tin that they come in here. So as recommended by Deep Light, I'm going to spritz these with a little bit of water to get them activated. And you have to just let that sink in for a couple of moments before we start swatching out these gorgeous colours. Right, so I've got some watercolour paper here, and we're going to swatch these out one by one to see how amazing these colours are. Okay, let's start off with the first colour, which is Soul of the Oak. We're looking at this colour here, and I'm reading from my notes here to say what Deep Light is saying about these colours. So Soul of the Oak is a grey rainbow which changes from aubergine to teal to green depending on the amount of water and the amount of wishes of the watercolour gods. I am so excited to try this, I can't tell you. One of the things I really enjoy about the paints from Deep Light are their granulating colours, and it's what makes them really, really special. One of the things that stands out is the way that these watercolours change. So I'm using my number 8 brush, and I'm just picking up a tiny bit of this oak, Soul of the Oak, and I'm just mixing it in the tin here. This makes a great little mixing palette, by the way. So I'm expecting this to change colour as I'm applying it to my watercolour paper, and I can already see the pan changing colour. I don't know whether you can see that there. So let's see how this one looks. So this is Soul of the Oak. Let's go. I'm going to add a lot of water to this and see how it looks. Already I can see it changing colour. Okay, this is so exciting. We've got this absolute separation of colour here. I can see flecks of pink, flecks of green, flecks of brown. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to just take a tiny bit of my kitchen paper and just pat it to see what we've got underneath. A little bit like we do when we're using colours from Deep Light, like Prickly Pear, which is another one of my favourites. But you can see how this is separating into the paper. I can imagine this used on branches or any kind of autumnal leaves. Absolutely glorious. You can definitely see that pink separation. I'll show you close up once I've swatched them all, but the next colour I want to show you moving on is Oak Moss. And oak moss, they are telling me, is a khaki green grey with a purple granulation that changes colour when a lot of water is used. So let me just wipe out that colour there. Remember to add plenty of water to your granulating paints, because it does mean that you get the most out of that granulation. So plenty of water, and I can already see that underlying colour. So this is oak moss, plenty of water, and you can see that separation. You do have to add plenty of water when you're using granulating paints. You're not going to get the full benefit unless you add plenty of water. I can see this is changing before my eyes. This is very exciting. I'm going to show you a close-up of that in a minute. Let's get these on. It's very hard to contain my excitement when I'm painting with deep, deep light paints. Can you see the separation that we've got here? Look at this. We've got pinks, we've got blues, we've got teals, we've got all kinds of colours. And on this one, I can just see that separation happening. If you move your brush across, I don't want to mess with it too much. I just want to show you that separation. I think already this is my new favourite colour. Here we've got pinks, we've got browns, we've got muted tones. And when you move that paint around with your brush, and you can see that separation, you've got those dual granulation colours. Absolutely beautiful. That is such a magical colour, but I am absolutely blown away by this one, Soul of the Oak. Now, I don't know whether Deep Deep Light are selling these colours individually, but they are certainly selling them in this new set here. So let's press on with our other colours and let that settle in. And the next colour I'm going to show you is called Purple Reed. Let me read out what they say about Purple Reed. Purple Reed is a muted purple of blossoming reeds and caps of acorns in September. Again, plenty of water. You'll see that the water I've applied initially is now soaked into those pans, soaking them up. Oh, this is beautiful. Just think of the autumnal things you can paint with these. Plenty of water. Don't be afraid to add water to your granulating paint. It is very, very important to get the most out of that granulation. I'm going to go in here with this one. So here we have Purple Reed. Straight onto the paper. Lots of water. I am just picking up my water with my brush and putting it straight onto the watercolour paper and letting it do its thing. When you're applying granulating paints, give them a minute to do their thing, okay? It's not going to start making its magical things straight away. When you're looking at it in the mix that I've got here, when you're looking at it in the mix, you can see it already starts to separate, where you've got these golden colours coming through. You just need to give it a mix, and you can see how that looks once that's settled in. I'm going to just mix another bit up here. Put some more on. You can see already that that's changing colour. Don't be afraid to add your water and just let it do its thing. I've put a little bit much in there, and you can definitely see those colours coming through. Let it do its thing. Oftentimes when I'm working with paints like this from Deep Deep Light and handmade colours, handmade watercolours, you think it doesn't look the same as it did on the swatch card. Just give it a minute. Already this is changing. Just look at the magic and wait for it to happen. You have to be a little bit patient. Just look at that. That is magical. Absolutely beautiful. The flecks of red that you can see in here, there's golden flecks. You've got these muted, soft, pinky tones. Absolutely blown away. Let's not waste any more time and carry on with our next colour, which is Haze Blue. Now, I'm reading my notes. They're calling it the colour of sky above the oak tree in the summer. What have we got? Let's take a look. Again, lots of water, mixing up that colour. I imagine this is going to look really lovely with our first colour, Soul of the Oak. Here we go. It's a lovely muted blue tone, straight off the bat. I don't think we're going to get a dual granulation with this one, but you never know. And just let that sink in. And I'm going to move on to my next colour, which is Acorn Rust. Granulating rusty acorn late in the autumn. Acorn Rust is a very, very vibrant goldy colour. And again, we're not going to get the dual granulation with this one, but we're just going to let it sink in and do its thing. And lastly, a yellow lychee, or lichen. And again, quite similar to this colour, but very, very pigmented, very bold. This would make a lovely glazing colour as well. It's almost got a translucency of a quinacridone colour. If you're used to quinacridones and that kind of beautiful colour glazing that you get with them, that's kind of where I'm looking with this one. It's got this definite brightness to it that I haven't seen in a long time. What I'm going to do is just clean my brush here, making sure that I've got no pigment on it at all. And I'm going to start to just lift a little bit of colour off each of these to see how they are looking underneath the paper. They're definitely heavily granulating. So I would say we have 3 colours that are dual granulation and 3 colours that are simple granulation. In other words, you're not going to get that colour separation out of the others. I'm going to give these a minute to dry, and then I'm going to come back and we can paint something together using some, if not all, of these beautiful tones. I don't know what I'm going to paint yet, but we're going to wing it and see how we're going to look with these gorgeous colours. Already that separation is coming through. I think there's a little bit of something going on here as well. I do think that there is maybe another colour underneath there. When you're looking at the separation here, you can see that there might be a bit of grey in there as well. I'm going to let those dry and we'll be right back. So before we paint something with these together, let's just take a moment to have a closer look at how beautiful these colours are. Soul of the Oak with that stunning separation. I honestly think this is one of the most beautiful paints I have ever seen. You could often hear me wowing, oohing and eyeing about the paints from Deep Deep Light. Prickly Pear, Captain's Grey, Partridge are some of my favourite colours from this beautiful brand. But this one, I have never seen anything like it. You've got this creamy colour separation here, and then you've got this beautiful outline of like a teal colour. We've got purples and pinks. Moving on to Oak Moss, well, we've got this other gorgeous granulation that's separating, or we've got hints of brown and pink, all kinds of colours I can see here. Purple Reed again, we've got those flecks of different colours going on. Moving on to Haze Blue with our beautiful soft muted blue tone with that grey tone on the outside that you can see. And then we move on to our bright, gorgeous, vibrant Acorn Rust, which is one of the most beautiful colours. I can't describe it other than say it looks like a really gorgeous gold colour, but there is undoubtedly something else going on here with that colour separation. There's almost like a creaminess to it with a hint of, I can see pink. It depends on the granulation that you're achieving when you wash them out on the first wash. And again, yellow lychee, where we've got this beautiful vibrancy that is second to none. There is no doubt that these colours are absolutely incredible. I'm going to paint something with this just so that you can see how stunning these colours are. So let me say congratulations to Deep Deep Light for creating these new colours that are just absolutely sublime. Do check out their website, by the way. I will put the link in the description box underneath this video so that you can look at all their new colours and all their existing colours that they have. Because when you're looking at paints as special as this, you can only appreciate them in their true form when you're swatching them out. I can't recommend these enough. I'm going to stop talking, sketch something out, and we can paint it together. As you can see, I've drawn a little sketch out here of a small acorn that you can see here and some of the dried flowers that we've got here. This is just a little experiment to see what kind of colours we can come up with and what kind of paintings we can do. Now, if you want to join in, I have put a simple outline over on Patreon, completely free if you want to download it and trace it down, or you can draw it freehand if you want to. It's a fairly simple shape. So let's paint this together using these new paints here. If you did want to join in, you can use any paints that you've got yourself, but if you are in the market for treating yourself to some new paints, then of course I highly recommend these. I'm going to see how they perform right here on this little tutorial. So you can see I've got the colours to the side here. I've got a mixing palette. I've got a very small glass of water to the side, slightly off camera, because I don't want it to take up too much space. And I'm going to start mixing some of these colours up in my little palette that I've got here. This is just a small ceramic palette, or of course you can use the lid of your paints from Deep Deep Light. So we're just going to add a little puddle of water in the middle and a few drops of water around the other wells. And this is not going to be a hyper-realistic painting or anything like that. We are just about having fun. I've got some kitchen paper to the side here, again, out of shot, slightly out of shot, because we can then focus on what's going on here. Looking at this beautiful acorn, first of all, I am obviously tempted to put the soul of the oak at the top. I know it's not really that colour, but I do feel I want to start using this beautiful, I don't even know how to describe it, it's so magical. I'm going to add water to the paper. It is a rather sketchy outline, which I don't normally do, but because, I'm just going to add a little bit of water there. You have to wake the paints up with water and just let them sit for a minute, picking up soul of the earth. Now, when you're mixing this colour, you'll notice it looks just a really sort of muted, I'm going to do 2 petals. It does just look like straight up nothing special, okay? Don't be fooled by your colour mixes with Deep Deep Light, because they will start to do magical things in front of your eyes. I remember the first time I started swatching them out a long time ago, I really thought I'd picked up the wrong colour. I've added some water to the paper here, and I'm going to use this wet in wet. The paper that I'm using is just an inexpensive 50% cotton watercolour paper, and it's a knot surface, so it's cold pressed. It's got a little bit of texture, and that works really well with your granulating paints. Give that a second or two to sort of sink into the paper, and then give it a little mix on your paper palette there, and we're just going to do this and let it do its first layer. Let it do its thing, let it do the work for you. Cleaning my brush and just using my brush just to push that out. The brush I'm using is from my set from Craftamo. If you were fortunate enough to grab yourself a set, congratulations. We have just sold out and they are limited edition. So if you were lucky enough to snag yourself a set, then I hope you love them as much as I do. As far as I know, we are not launching anymore. So congratulations on snagging yourself a set. I'm going to go over to Oak Moss, which is the next colour that we see here, just about in my screen there. And we're going to mix that up. Let it do its thing. And again, we're going to go wet in wet, just because it's a nice way to paint. Straight onto the watercolour paper with just water. Notice how this is granulating. Straight onto the paper, and we're just using that just right up to the pencil line. This is a lovely loose painting, nothing fancy, nothing fussy. What I'm going to do is, while I'm waiting for that to settle into the paper, I'm picking up a little bit more of that soul of the earth, and I'm taking it straight onto this stem. Straight on, wet on, dry. Don't know if I'll be using all of these colours today, but we can see how they're looking and then think about other things I want to paint with these glorious colours. I'm going to pick up the oak moss. I might mix a bit more actually. Just drop it in. You'll need to mix up your colours, keep giving them a little swirl around. The great thing about painting with watercolour is you can get such a different array of tones and textures and shades. You need to add a lot more water if you want a lighter colour, and of course a lot less if you want to build your colours up. You want to have a darker value, then you need to add a lot less water. Just going to let that do its thing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you, and I'm just going to use this brush just to pull out a few lines down the middle, just to give it a little bit of a different shades. I'm going to take the oak moss and using my number 2 brush, I'm going to start to bring a line down here on this dried up flower. I don't know what it is. I'm very sorry. I should know, but I don't. I've had it in my supply kit for quite a long time, and I just thought it would be really nice to test out these colours. I'm just going down each of the stem where these little buds are on the bottom, just following roughly the lines that I painted in. The oak moss used directly onto the watercolour paper like this gives a lovely muted tone, very, very gentle, no stress here, just working down that watercolour paper, picking up that pigment, giving it a little mix around because it will separate. That's the beauty of granulating paints. We're just going to take that right down. This really sweet little painting, nice and easy, stress-free, which is what we're all about on the wonders of watercolour. And if you are enjoying this video, and you may want to consider subscribing to my channel, where every week we bring you full-length tutorials that are completely free. We even provide you with free outlines over on our Patreon. All you need to do is join up. It's free to join, and you can have access to outlines, and you can download them, my gift to you. I'm going to take the next colour, which is the purple reed. Okay, going to give it a little bit of a mix and pop it into this pan here. So just taking it and putting it into the pan, and we're going to have a watered down version as well. This is still drying, so what I'm going to do is look at these buds and take the purple reed, and I'm going to do wet on wet actually. So each of these buds, I'm just adding water, just water. And if you are enjoying this video, could I ask you to hit the like button underneath? It really does help support creators when you do that. I don't think people realise how important hitting that like button is. It means that you're letting YouTube know that you're enjoying what you see, and it will push my videos out to more people, and I'd really appreciate your support. Takes a second, just hit the like button and I'd really appreciate it. So we're just going to let that settle in a second. And speaking of Patreon, while we're waiting for that to dry, we do have a paid membership level. We actually have a few membership levels where you can pay to have access to exclusive tutorials that you won't find here on YouTube. Now, if you are into botanical painting and you really want to level up, you can join our Clematis level, where we have monthly tutorials broken down into separate sections. You will not find them here on YouTube. Our YouTube tutorials are there in their entirety. You don't need to pay for those. But if you head over to Patreon and you want to level up, then we've got that paid membership level as well as other membership levels. And we even have a rose level, which means that you can have tuition from me, one-on-one time with me, which means you can have mentorship with me as well. Check it out. I'll put the link in the description box, and let's just play a little video to show you what you get. When you join Patreon, you will have access to exclusive content that you just won't find here on YouTube. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just dipping your brush into botanical watercolour, you may want to join us here on Patreon, where the magic happens. And with Patreon's new collections tab, it makes accessing the tutorials super easy. When you join us here on Patreon, we dive deep into the art of botanical watercolours, from vibrant blooms to fine detail, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. We have 3 membership levels to suit your skill and budget, and we even have a mentorship and coaching level, so if you're serious about developing your skills, then this could be the level for you. And now you can join Patreon for free, which will give you access to all of our YouTube traceables, which will be delivered weekly to your inbox, so no more scrolling through for the images. So if you are ready to embark on a watercolour adventure, unlock exclusive content and join a community that celebrates the beauty of botanicals, hit that join button, which I will link in the description. You can leave and join at any time. We'd love to see you over there. I've given that a second or two to sink in, so I'm just going to drop in some of this purple reed. Just a little bit, tiny bit, on these beautiful little buds. And we're going to do 1 or 2 with a purple reed, like this. I'm not being too fussy, I'm even going outside the pencil line. And then I'm going back over to the sole of the earth, taking off some of the excess and dropping it in. So we have a bit of variation with these little tiny buds. You can even put a bit of oak moss in if you want to. So we've got oak moss, purple reed, and the sole of the earth. Sole of the oak, I do beg your pardon, sole of the oak. Dropping it in to the little wet buds. Okay, just adding a bit more. You can add as much or as little as you want to. You can build up those colours, creating these cute little buds. Really nice, simple painting to do when you're looking for something you want to paint and you don't really feel like putting too much effort into it. You can do something like this, nice and easy. I'm going to take a little bit of the acorn rust, mix it in with that, so that we can add a tiny bit of that rusty tone here and there on that. We just have this lovely, sweet looking. Just going to give that a second or 2 to dry. I'm going to add another layer of water, like that. And just give that a second or 2 to sink into the paper. I'm going to do a mix of acorn rust, which is this colour here, and just let that sit there minding its business for a minute or 2. Mixing up the sole of the oak and dropping in a bit more colour. Give it a little mix, dropping it in. Just let it do its thing. Let it go into the paper and do the work for you. I'm taking up a little bit of a darker colour here, same colour, just less water. And what I'm going to do with this is just go around some of the stem. Same colour, but just less water. Just going around that little bump there. As we hit this bit, I'm going to go full on, and it's going to bleed into the bit that I've just done. Okay, so thicker mix here. Cleaning my brush, blending it out. And if you want to just add a bit more to the top, a bit more pigment, just drop it in. Let it do the work for you. Cleaning my brush. I'm cleaning it in the little puddle that I've got on my palette. You can barely see it there, I know, I'm just out of shot, but you know what I'm doing. The reason I've got this little puddle is because I don't want to flood my brush with water. Just a little tip there for you. And let that colour do the, you can see that separation and how glorious that looks. You've got that gorgeous pink, purples and blues coming through. This one, I'm now going to pick up the acorn rust and I'm going to go over this as a glaze. So glazing over the oak moss with the acorn rust. And they layer up so beautifully, these colours. I mean, you're going to get this beautiful layering because it's transparent. Remember, watercolour is transparent. Depending on the colour you use, you can get opaque colours, of course, but we're going to pop that on. And you can see how that's changed the colour to this beautiful acorn-like colour. We are playing around with nature's colours here a little bit today, but you know, that's what painting is all about, having fun. And just pushing that gently into that colour. Just look at those colours. How beautiful are they? I'm just so blown away by these. I know I haven't done the most realistic colours, but we're just going to let that settle in a minute. And bring it to life once it dries. Again, you can start to lift out a few lines if you want to. Just let it dry a little bit before you do that, and then we're going to put a final glaze on. This is drying a little bit now, so I'm using my brush to just lift out 1 or 2 lines. When you're doing your lift outs, make sure that your paint is slightly dry because you're going to be you know, just going there forever and ever otherwise. So you can see I've just lifted out a few lines there. I'm going to go back to the sole of the oak, this time mixing it really, really dark. And then where these two lines meet, I'm just going to go in and draw a little bit of a shadow here. It's still a little bit wet. So just draw that underneath. Just to give it a little bit of a shadow where these two meet. And if you wanted to just add a few lines, you can do a few dots, you know, just to give it a bit of texture. You can do that. And on the end here, we have this little thing at the bottom. And there we go. I'm not going to do too much more to this. I wanted to look a nice, natural, organic looking painting. I'm not going to be overly doing anything. You can add a few more little squiggles if you want to. Give them a bit more texture. And there we have a really simple painting. If you want to download the outline, you can do. I'll put it on Patreon for you. But today we're all about just, you know, just freestyling really and checking out. This is about the star of the show, the new colours from Deep Deep Light that they're releasing for autumn 2024. These landed in my letterbox yesterday and I was so keen to show them to you straight away. These are available on their website. These are just a snippet of what we can paint with them. The sky is going to be the limit with these, and I'm going to be painting a few more as the weeks progress using the other colours that we see here in this gorgeous palette. I will link the paints from Deep Deep Light in the description box along with the discount code Deep Deep Ray. You are going to have some of the most incredible mixes that you've seen here. Give them a go, check them out. I know they are a treat. There's no denying handmade paints are very, very special. They're not something that are mass produced, and they are made with love and care from my wonderful friends over in Latvia. Their customer service is second to none, and I have not met one person that has purchased the paints from Deep Deep Light that haven't been absolutely delighted with the results that they get. Remember with your granulating colours to add plenty of water to get the most of those granulations. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my friends Agnes and Dana over at Deep Deep Light for sending me these paints to try out for you today. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name's Ray Campbell. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. In the meantime, let's take a moment to appreciate the finished painting along with these beautiful paints.